Before we begin this video, I did want to say if you have not yet figured out how to set your iPad up just as a simple video camera and audio recording device for your classroom, I encourage you to watch this first video that I'll link right up there. And then when you're done with that, you can come back and watch this one, because this one probably won't make any sense until you watch the first. All right, let's just jump into it. All right, and welcome to part 2, our more advanced iPad demo, where I'm going to show you how to go beyond using your iPad as a simple video camera to make it a more versatile tool that you can have in your arsenal as we switch to some in-person and some virtual learning. So just like we did in the first video, in the beginner video, you are still going to do what you would normally do as you start your class period. You're going to have your period created hopefully already in advance to save yourself some time. You're going to log into your class. Your kids will do the same. Again, I'm going to shut this camera off so we don't have 2 camera feeds coming out at once, because that's a little crazy. And I'm just going to join, and I'm going to do the same on my iPad again, and I'll get a little recording here just so you can see one more time how to join on the iPad. So when I'm on the iPad, again, I find the Google Meet icon, and I'm just going to click on that, and you will notice that I just have right here iPad Demo Advanced. I'm going to join that. I have the microphone muted again. And again, on the school computer and all the kids at home, I must have zoomed in, I'm sorry. On the school computer and with all the kids at home, you again have to have them select the iPad. So right now, I still have my school one selected, but I can select the iPad and pin it. So you want them, again, to pin the iPad. If they forget to pin the iPad, they won't get the video feed. Now, the reason I wanted to create this second video is because while I think this is great, the iPad allows, this window into your room. It allows kids to participate in discussions. It allows them to kind of feel like they're there, if not physically there. One bonus, I guess, though, is they don't have to wear masks if they're at home. But at any rate, I think this is great, but I do think there are limitations. I mean, you'll notice going over, and I have pretty good internet bandwidth here at my home. Even going through this nice camera that's built into the iPad, the frame rate and the pixelation is pretty bad. So if I'm going to have this camera, pointed at, let's say, even the photos behind me, you see that are on the wall back there, they're hard to see. So if I'm going to use my iPad as a stand-in for the kids, I mean, we're essentially saying that the kids are going to have the worst vision ever. Are they really going to see your smart board, your smart screen? Are they really going to see the whiteboard behind you if you're doing some work on the whiteboard, or maybe you're doing like a circle map for brainstorming prior knowledge? Is that the best way to use the iPad to do all of those things? And I don't think it is. I actually think the iPad itself could be a little bit more versatile than just serving as a camera. And so that's what I'm going to show you. I'm first going to shut the recording off here, because I'm recording it as well on my computer. So actually, I lied to you. I'm going to turn this back on for one quick second. Start recording, because I want to show you. All right, so here's my other recommendation. On the iPad, you're going to notice, I'm going to set it back down so you can see the mouse again. If I go up to the top right corner of the iPad, you're going to see these 3 dots. And the iPad itself, just like the computer, you can share your screen on the computer. The iPad itself can also have its screen presented if you click this button. Now, I don't think, since I'm recording my iPad screen right now, I don't think it's going to let me do both. So I'm actually, before I click on this, I'm going to close out of the recording I'm making right now. And you'll see once I click present screen, you'll see it show up on this feed right here on the computer. Okay, so let me close that. Now it says it's starting the broadcast here on my iPad, and you should see it here now. Perfect. So now, just like you saw the video feed before, now you're seeing the iPad feed. And if I swipe up and go to my home screen, you'll see, or the kids at home will see, exactly what your iPad sees. And I don't know if you agree, this is significantly crisper. It's still not perfect, right? It's not pixel perfect, but what you're seeing here is a significantly better, there's much more clarity than what the kids would see behind you. Now, why does that matter? This isn't a whiteboard. Well, you can use your iPad as a whiteboard. So most people know of the Notes app, and the Notes app could be used as a whiteboard. I actually use a Microsoft app instead, and it's totally free. You can do a free OneDrive account, and it's called Microsoft Whiteboard. So I'm just going to showcase that one. I actually used this whiteboard app a lot in the spring. I just saved one to showcase. I was teaching my ecology students in the spring about the greenhouse effect, and I used this to show the greenhouse effect. I drew it, I explained it with what the ozone layer is, and I even signed it on the bottom because I'm such a gifted artist. But obviously, whatever your whiteboard could do, your iPad can do, and it's incredibly simple that way. So another thing that I did want to throw out there is I do own an Apple Pencil myself. The school will not be providing Apple Pencils, these styli, plural, sorry. I did purchase one myself with my own money, though. I personally think it's worth the money, but I'm not going to recommend that you go out and buy one just yet because one, the school does not have anything in their budget to reimburse you. So you would really have to want to do this on your own. And two, I don't know specifically what model or what generation of iPad you have. And therefore, I'm not certain if the Apple Pencil will even work. What will work with every iPad, though, is a generic stylus. It just won't be quite as nice. So if you are interested, by the way, in an Apple Pencil or in a cheaper variant, something called the Logitech Crayon, I will put links to both of those in the video description. So if you look down in the video description, you should be able to see them. Now, the reason I like the Apple Pencil is because it's just a little bit more elegant and fluid. However, you can click up in the top right corner. There is this hamburger menu where I can turn off this active pen. And if I turn active pen off, it will recognize just my finger. You'll notice that that something disappeared here. I'm going to turn active pen back on. Look down here. See, once I turn it on, then I got a much bigger palette. And that's because Microsoft Whiteboard, like most programs for the iPad Pro, which is the version that I have personally, is made for an Apple Pencil. But again, an Apple Pencil is pretty expensive. If that is not worth it to you, then I recommend just buying a very cheap stylus. You know, you can get them pretty much anywhere now. You know, they have that like foam tip. So you can also do ink to table, which I think is really, really cool. You can add ink to shape. Here, let me show that. So if you're teaching in a math class and you're doing triangles, oh, why did that not work? I think you have to hold it. There we go. Sorry, you have to hold it a little bit longer. Yeah, once you hold it, it will create the shapes for you. But then you can do things a lot better about teaching, you know, about the radius and the diameter or the circumference, or you could talk about the different sides, or you can use this to teach the Pythagorean theorem a little bit better than just hand drawn. Sorry, I've got text messages coming in here, right? So like I'm not the most gifted artist, that sort of a thing. But you could easily work out math problems here too. I'm thinking the art teachers could do a really nice job, you know, just drawing, demoing different ways, like the different rules on how to draw a face, you know, centering the eyes and so on and so forth. So I absolutely love this for the same reasons. I mean, we're talking super traditional teaching here, but I absolutely love Microsoft Whiteboard because it gives me a whiteboard digitally. And because I am mirroring it on my computer screen, both the kids that are physically present and the kids that are learning virtually are going to see the same thing. And one is not going to have a better experience than the other. And I just think it is going to narrow that gap that we're going to see with the kids that are at home learning this whiteboard. So I know it's incredibly simple. Again, you don't have to use Microsoft Whiteboard. There are plenty of apps that allow this. but Microsoft Whiteboard is the one that I have used. So I just wanted to show that. Another thing that I want to show you when it comes to the iPad is, of course, if you're really heavily invested in the iPad, you can use any app that is on the iPad to improve your teaching. So I was going to show something else here. So I actually demoed this in another video, but all right. So let's say something else that I'm doing is like literally going over problems and stuff. So this is a guided note packet that I make for my Anat and Phys students. And I do a lot of diagramming, a lot of labeling. And if I can create a PDF, I can label and do stuff on the iPad that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise, or wouldn't be able to do that's really visible to students. So again, I can grab my pen. I could say, hey, what is, if I label the parts of the body here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And that corresponds obviously with these up here. I can actually say, what is number 5? Well, number 5 we call the umbilical region. And what's number 2? Number 2 is called the epi, which means above, gastric means stomach, the epigastric region. I just like this. I like the versatility of being able to label things with my students, and I can pre-make things a little bit better rather than just having the blank slate of the Whiteboard app. I can now have drawings and stuff done for me already and practice with vocabulary, with labeling, visualizations, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's another example that I have in here. Oh, I also do different practice with different planes and stuff where I provide answer keys. I will even use my iPad to create answer keys. So I'll scan in the document that my kids are working on. I'll just mark it up with the iPad, and I could push that out to Google Classroom too. So I just love the ability that the iPad gives me to essentially digitize all of my teaching. So I'm going to swipe up and I'm going to show one last thing here. I could go on, to be honest, for hours and hours and hours and all the different tools that I use on the iPad. But if you are that excited, you probably are already doing this. And if you aren't already doing this, but are that excited, then I strongly encourage you to come and see me. I would be happy to share some of what I know. And if you have stuff that I haven't talked about, please share with me, because I would like to grow and learn with you too. So the last thing I want to show is if you do presentations. So one way, of course, that you could do presentations is the typical way, right? You pull up your Google slideshow, you share your screen on your computer, and you cut away from just the iPad screen, and you're sharing your computer screen, and you're just going that way. I personally, though, as I just alluded, I personally love to mark up my presentations. So I do most of my presentations in PowerPoint for that reason. And Microsoft does make a free app for the iPad, a PowerPoint app. And so I can actually watch my presentation. There is going to be a bit of a lag. You'll notice the curtain opening effect isn't quite as smooth when it's coming over the internet. But as I'm going through the iPad now, I put little commercial breaks and stuff like that into my lectures as well, just for fun. But the kids will not only see the lecture and I can talk about it, but they'll also see pictures that I can label. So if I'm saying, what are some main structures of the urinary system, before I have them pop up, I might actually have the kids brainstorm that. And again, if I grab my Apple Pencil or other stylus, I can actually just start labeling these things. So I can, first of all, I can note that these are the kidneys. But something else that I might be able to ask is, all right, folks, notice, are the kidneys symmetric? Or do you see one a little bit higher or lower than the other? And we can start talking about why the left kidney is slightly higher than the right kidney, and so on and so forth. So for me, someone that does a lot of labeling in a science classroom, I like the ability to mark up my lectures and my presentations and my slideshows. But if you aren't that type of a person, this might not be something useful to you. Again, I only mentioned PowerPoint because Google Slides does not allow me to mark it up. Not unless I take a screenshot, go to a totally separate program, and then I can write on the slideshow. And of course, that's something you could do as well. You could take a screenshot, but I like not having to leave and waste time. So I do create lectures in all sorts of different programs, some PowerPoint, some Pear Deck, some Google Slides and Prezi, and so on and so forth. So at any rate, I think that's where I'm going to stop for now, just so that this video doesn't drag out too long. I just wanted to showcase again, your iPad does not need to just be a camera, all right? Oh, by the way, Pugsley says hi. Pugsley? Your iPad doesn't need to be just this. We can take it one step further. So I hope you enjoyed learning with me. If you have any questions, you know where to find me, H102. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.